Strange whistling sounds in the forests of North America have been going on for as long as there have been written accounts in this vast new world. They probably go back even further with our First Nations peoples. It's no secret that with people in the know, the cause of these whistles is widely accepted to be from an undiscovered forest being, a species that has so far eluded scientific description. There's a disproportionate percentage of Sasquatch encounters that are reported to be in conjunction with these strange whistling sounds. But if you think about it, it's actually a loaded statement. What constitutes strange? Are all of these eyewitnesses that reported strange whistling before, during, or after their encounter bird experts? No, I would think not. So we have to proceed lightly when delving into this subject. I am no bird expert, but I would say as an avid outdoorsman of 50 years, I am comfortable in stating that I know normal bird sounds from my area, even though I can probably only identify about 20 species by name from my area. I can identify close to 100% of the quote-unquote normal birds by ear, and that's before I took up this little hobby of mine. Now I'm tuning in and making mental efforts to learn and remember with the sounds of my local woodlands. The tools we all have at our disposal on the internet to educate ourselves with any known sound is truly amazing. In this video, I will have my top 10 whistling captures to date. Not stories of whistling, actual recorded whistles. I've only been at this hobby for about 5 years now, and I've got enough to make a short list that I'd like to share. Keep in mind that for each of these whistles, rigorous vetting, sometimes years worth with a few of them, has been forced upon these recordings. My primary lens is my own personal experience with all things bird sounds in Wisconsin forests. And of course, this hobby would be infinitely more exhausting without the experience that I have in that regard. Each of the whistles in this list, when they first passed through my personal filter, were then posted on various Facebook groups that were committed to the education of bird song identifications. From their recommendations, I would then go to Cornell's Lab of Ornithology to search their online database based on their suggestions I would get from the avid birders or even ornithologists on these Facebook groups. These groups are invaluable with my hobby, not just with birds, but with coyotes, wolves, foxes, bears, primates, you name it. And I'm a member of these Facebook groups. So before all you keyboard warrior city slickers get busy in the comments below, let me just save you some time and let you know that I've done about as much as I can do with the vetting for these. These are ranked in order in how they impacted me personally, which includes online discussions with bird experts. Some were recorded while I was present in filming, while others were recorded with an unattended recorder that was left in a hiding spot overnight. Some of these recordings sound more impressive than the video captures, but there's nothing quite like being there. You may have heard some of these whistles before, as some have already been incorporated into previous videos, and some are new. I will label each accordingly for you. One final caveat before I begin with the list though. Just because I haven't identified these whistles yet, doesn't mean that they won't ever be attributed to a known bird. So check the description below, or the pinned comment, for updated information about these whistles. This video will be like a bottle of wine. The significance of these whistles will be better with time. Coming in at number 10. This was recorded around 1 a.m. on July 23rd of 2020 in northern Wisconsin, deep within the Nicolet National Forest. I was not present during the recording, and this is new to this channel. The significance of this monotone whistle is the discussion I had with a few bird experts on a bird song Facebook group. The nearest analog we could come up with was the broad-winged hawk. Here's a snapshot of that discussion. We all agreed that what I captured had a pitch that was way too low for it to be from a broad-winged hawk, and that is why it makes a list at number 10. Coming in at number 9 is a very unbird-like whistle that was heard in conjunction with some very strange moaning. This was from my previous video, More Vocal Whistle Stuff. The link to it and all other videos referenced can be found below in the description. Coming in at number 8 is a whistle that was just one of hundreds of strange sounds that were recorded and put to my Countless Clanks video. At that time, when I made that video, I was just so inundated with the tsunami of sounds that I recorded that night that I failed to make the connection from this whistle to another, much higher in this list. Coming in at number 7 is a whistle that was part of a crazy knocking exchange. This was published previously in my compilation of strange sounds 7/6/19 video. The whistle heard here isn't overly impressive on its own, but how it fits between the knocks here is amazing. The knock heard right after it is actually a vocal and a knock heard simultaneously. This is a capture that will always be high on any list of mine because of the complexity of the exchange heard here. Coming in at number 6 is the first whistle on this list that was recorded while I was there in the flesh. I remember having a "oops, sorry I handled your mushroom" feeling after putting the mushroom back in the tree break. The whistle came from a thicket further down on the ravine to my right. I got an overwhelming feeling of dread from that area, and I hiked out in the opposite direction right after that. This was the video clip that Bob Gimlin referred to in his Sasquatch of the Driftless Forest video. The mushroom was a black trumpet. They grow from the ground. They do not grow from wood, which is important to note because it was placed there by someone. Some kind of polypore growing in the break. Another one there too, pretty far gone. What do you got there? Coming in at number 5 is a whistle that is similar to the one at number 4 on this list, and I believe could be from the same individual, as it was from the same location only about a month later. This was never published to video. It was recorded on an unattended recorder in northern Wisconsin in August of 2019. This makes a list at 5 because it, like the one at number 4, is so obviously a whistle that when I posted it to one of my other Facebook birdsong ID groups, some ridiculous comments started to fly about having to do with yours truly conducting a hoax, as if I've got nothing better to do than to sit in the woods whistling in the middle of a summer night. There were a lot of "good one" or "nice try" comments. And, of course, coming in at number 4 is that similar whistle to number 5. This one is much more prominent, though, and 100% not a bird. This was recorded from the same evening as number 7 on this list, and is included in my compilation of strange sounds 7/6/19 video. This ranks high on the list because it is heard in conjunction with a ton of other significant sounds. And even if it was the only thing heard all night, it would still stand on its own as truly remarkable. Coming in at number 3 is the highest rated unattended recording. I really like this one, not just because I think the whistles are authentic, but just listen to that thump, knock, percussion fill under the second whistle. No filtering was necessary with this capture. Love it when that happens. This is the most recent capture, and inspired me to do this list. Never before put to video or published elsewhere. This was recorded on the evening of July 28th, 2020, in northern Wisconsin. Fun fact, this was the same evening when I recorded what sounded like Andre the Giant laughing in the woods. Only this was 4 miles away and several hours later. Coming in at number 2 is an encounter I had down in the Driftless area on October 9th of 2017. The video with that encounter is called Whistles Whoops from Something Following Me. Like I said in the beginning, this list is ranked according to how it affected me personally. So the top 2 on this list were both instances where these things were going to the extreme to get me to leave the area I was going into. The microphone in this instance was from the GoPro that was mounted to my head, and therefore of very poor quality. I was disappointed that the thumping and stomping that I heard in person behind me and to the right did not come through. But you can hear the whistling just fine, and even a whoop, which was much louder in person as well. I can't sufficiently communicate with you how intimidating both situations were. I think there really is something to the notion that these beings can project fear. They say seeing is believing. Well, I believe feeling that is believing too. And finally, the top spot on this list goes to the whistled and yelled at and gibberish encounter, also down in the Driftless, in August of 2017. I'm just going to play this one through, then I'm going to go over a few things of note afterwards. Leaves are still fresh on that. Whistling at 5:41. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you right now that the whistling and the gibberish were coming from the exact same area, and it was very close. Just barely beyond line of sight in this area here. I was certain that if I looked hard enough through the bush, that I'd probably see part of it. It was that close. And there was a part of me that really didn't want to look any closer. And that was strange for me. It was weird because the fear wasn't immediate. It was a growing force. I believe this thing was attempting to mimic the sound of an angry human, with rudimentary single consonant enunciation attempts, with more emphasis on volume and tone of voice than variation of enunciation. The thing that puts this whistle at the top for me is that I'm 100% sure that the gibberish talker and the whistler were one and the same, coming from the exact tiny little area that I pointed to. Now I know this whistle to be authentic whenever I might hear it again because of these circumstances. So let's go back to number 8 on the list. Remember how I said it was similar to another higher on the list? Food for thought. If you like my videos, please consider subscribing. Click on the bell to get notifications when I post a new video.